democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about thought.
Now, you see, let me say this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your number one program for current issues. Welcome back on the program. This morning we'll be talking education development towards the reading culture. And I have here Remi Willoughby. She is an educationist, or you better still call her educational consultant. Many thanks for staying tuned on the program this morning. Now, talking about Nigerian youth in all of this, there's one thing that is very sacrosanct. The use of our reading culture. What do you make of this?
I'm concerned. I'm concerned because literacy is so critical to everything that we're doing. And we're not, I don't believe that we're putting enough to it. Literacy does not end when I can speak like the British, when I can speak English like a British or like an American or whoever. Literacy is being able to read and comprehend and make sense of what I'm reading. And one of the things that I see is that our children do not like to read. If children don't like, and I can't say all of them because I don't know all the children in Nigeria, but I've come across children who actually said they don't like reading. Math was what I thought many kids, growing up, in my generation would say, oh, I don't like math. But reading was so powerful. And I think we can talk about the problem forever. I would rather we focus on solutions. How can we get students to become excited about reading? And one of the ways to do that is to encourage them from home. If parents can read themselves, they should form a culture of reading to children. Read to your child before they go to sleep. Prayer is important, but please read to them. Read a story. We have fables. Nigerians we are blessed with lots of stories. We grew up listening to all this Japa and Yonibo and all these stories. Those things encouraged us so that when we were old enough to read, we started looking for those books. That's one way. Another thing that I would encourage parents to do, especially of little children, is to, if possible, label their homes. For example, your refrigerator, write the word refrigerator on it.
Okay.
Say it to the child. Let them say it back to you. Read it. Bed, room, the basic words. Because one of the reasons that we're having this literacy challenge in Nigeria is because we have a lot of parents who themselves, they are market women. They are struggling they want a better life for their children. And as a result, they put their children in school. And some of them probably did not finish school themselves. So they are trying to speak English to these children. And what they are speaking is not what the children need. So it forms a level of confusion that by the time the child finally gets to school, even the teachers that are teaching them are just a tad better than their parents. What we need is a situation where we are reading, read the newspapers, read. When you send text, make effort to speak correct English, if you can. Because even college graduates these days, when they send text, and I'm talking of WhatsApp, I'm not even talking of regular text where you have limited number of characters. But WhatsApp, that is, you can type as much as you want. They still wouldn't spell correctly. They won't write correctly. I think that is something that we need to break. But to improve our reading culture, we must encourage our children. And we need to have what we call picture books.
Okay.
Picture books are not, I went to a store one day, I said I wanted a picture book. What they gave me, I was like, this is not, and I wanted to bring some picture books today. I probably have some in the car.
Okay.
I may get them later. To show an example of picture books. So that children will see it and they want to read it because it's so colorful. There's a book, for example, that children, I taught in the United States for many years, and I taught elementary school for some time. So I taught reading, writing, all of that. And then there's a connection between reading and writing. Let your children write. Encourage them to write. They like to talk. My children love to talk. My children are all grown up now, and they always love to talk. And after some time, I realized if I don't get these children busy, they're going to wear me out. So I would say, go and write about it. Go and write how was school today? Good. If you say I was good school today, they will say good. Okay, go and write. If I ask you to write a page, you cannot write good and give it to me. So that is one way to encourage them, because writing is talk on paper.
Okay, but just a moment. I've seen people talk very well, but the ability to write is not there. So what's the connection here, and how can you improve on this?
The connection is you have to encourage them. It is, and also I remember when, I know you experienced this too, when your teacher would just mark your paper all red and everything. That discourages you. You don't want to write. If I'm not going to say it right, let me not say it at all. That is what the children do. So I'm not saying don't correct them, but there are ways that you can correct their essays. For example, you can take another piece of paper and write your corrections there and add it to their own and give it to them.
Okay.
Or you can invite them to say, let's talk about this. Take just one, if they wrote 2 pages, let's just take one paragraph and look at it. Another thing is we don't encourage creative writing. So all our writing is based on exam, tests, and all. Let them write about, let them be creative in their thinking. Let them come up with a story in their head that is not connected to anything, and write about it. And because when you are writing something, one of the reasons that people don't write well everywhere that I've seen is because they grew up writing about things that have no connection or interest to them. So if it has no connection to me, it has no interest to me, I will just do it for you so I can pass. So you've given me the outline of what you want me to write here, here, here.
How can you write creatively when you don't have creative teachers? Because when you look at the standard of education in the country today, it's so appalling. Tell us more about this one.
Yeah, that is that's the $1 million question.
Okay.
The truth is, parents will need to take more responsibility.
Parents, not teachers?
Parents. Hey, when these children become who you want them to become, they're not doing shout out to my teachers. They're shouting out to their mom, shouting out to their dad. Parents, when I say parents take responsibility, and I know we are busy, we have a busy culture, but we also have a culture of, I don't want to call it blame game, but where we shift things. Okay, I get a lesson teacher for my child. That's why I hired you, so you can do this. The lesson teacher may not even know as much as you do. Why don't you, instead of using a lesson teacher, why don't you ask your child to write about, take your child for a walk, for example, in your neighborhood, wherever it is, and when you come back, write what you saw today. Let's write about it. What did we see? First of all, you talk about it. What did we see when we were going? When we left the house, we saw a Okada man riding. Did you notice the color of the Okada man's shirt? No, but I saw an orange. So you are making that story fact as they are writing. What we call make your story fact. You are making the story fact as they are writing, because you are adding all those adjectives, all those extra words that will build up your story. So they write about what you did, your experience, and then at the end you say, you can ask them, a conclusion. They're still going to use the basic format: introduction, body, conclusion of a good story, a good plot. But at the end you say, oh, so what do you think of our thing today? Mommy, I like it. Let's do it again. So the next time you go somewhere else, they write. You are generating that interest. I guarantee you that child will grow up loving to write. And let them read what they write. Let me tell you what I did when I taught my first year teaching in the United States in 1992. I taught first grade.
Okay.
What I did was, I noticed that my students were not reading as quickly as I wanted them to. So we would write, I always, of course, we wrote a lot. We would write stories about different things. We'll read a book. So you read a picture book, for example. I will say, now, go and write an ending to that story. Because a story never ends. If it's a fiction, there's no end to it. You can make your own ending. So go and write your own ending to that story. So they write their own ending to the story. I will bind it. And what is the binding? Put it together, put a staple it. Take another paper, a colored paper. Let them do a cover for it. Teach them that a story is usually written by, 2 people are involved in writing a story. The person who writes the picture book and the person who draws the pictures.
Okay.
So one is called an author, the other one is called an illustrator. So you give your story a title, you put your name as author, you are the illustrator, we staple it together. I put it in the classroom library, in my class library. So
Okay.
they will be reading each other's books. Sometimes they might tell each other, I don't understand what you wrote in your story, and that student will be explaining to them. And then, if I hear that, I will say, oh, maybe you should go and take the book and review what needs to be rewritten. And by the end of the year, we had so many books in our classroom, I even give them to the school library. They are not great books. It's not a big story. My own children started writing at the age of 5. They were writing, and up till today, they are grown. My youngest is 26. I still have their books. I told them I will give those books to their children when they have them. And it's very simple. When I say a book in my concept is not necessarily this fancy thing that like the pace setters or any blighting or any of those. They're just anything that tells a story. It can be 2 pages, it can be 1 page, it can be 20 pages, 50, 100, anything. But in fact, I remember one of my daughters, when I showed her the story that she wrote in 1st grade, she's like, Mom, I wrote this. Man, I didn't even spell right. And I said, who cares? You were excited that you were an author, you were an illustrator. My children read now like their life depends on it. They just love reading. That you as a parent have to create that love in your children. They must see you read, parents. Your children must see you reading. Beyond newspapers, actually.
And beyond watching African magic?
Beyond watching African magic, they must see you with a book that you are reading that you can actually discuss with them. How about take a book, buy 2 copies, give one to your child, depending on their age, and take the other copy and say, let's read it and discuss the book. How about that? And then, at one point, why don't you write an opinion of what you read? Why don't you write a summary of what you read? When I taught 1st grade, 5-6-year-olds, they like to tattletale. They like to report on each other because they want to look good. So when I saw that, I said, okay, I created a form. That form, you had to tell your title, whatever you want to report, you will write it down. And it didn't matter that they were not spelling every word correctly.
Okay.
But what mattered to me was that they were able to express themselves, and then that tattletale, that story that they wrote, whatever it is that they were reporting, of course we will resolve the issue, but we will also use it as a springboard for a story writing.
Well, I so much like the experience from a developed country. How can we narrow that down to Nigeria? Talking about school proprietors, school owners, teachers, in all of this. You will give us all this, but let's go on this break. When we come back, it's a practical class here on Core Digest Extra, and I have my guest here. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Core TV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is Core TV.
Download Core TV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station. You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to Core TV Primetime News broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then news. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.
Over 2,000 communities in Nigeria, each with its unique story. Some real of comfort, most with its complaints. Whatever the story is from your community, we tell it. Let's journey together through streets, homes, markets, every nook and cranny to tell your story the right and the true way. Community Focus. It's all about you and your community.
Hi, I am
Manete Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head. Because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on Core TV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion.
Can we, very interesting, gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I'm about thought.
Now, you see, let me
So
say this.
that our soldiers will be free, we should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues. Welcome back on the program. Well, earlier I promised that it's a practical class. This morning, my guest is still very much available to take on us on that practical lessons this morning as we narrow it down to Nigeria. Over to you.
All right, so I said I was talking about picture books, and I find that picture books are not particularly popular in Nigeria. When I went to a store and I asked for a picture book, what they gave me was not a picture book. A picture book will not have too many words, because with too many words it discourages the child, especially when a child is reading. And for every word that they cannot, technically if a child is reading, for every word they cannot pronounce, they're supposed to put their finger on it.
Okay.
By the time they use 5 fingers, that book is too difficult for them.
Okay.
But we don't pay attention to that. So we say, but if I took a book like this and I read with my student or my own child, A is for Africa, I will now, after we have finished reading, B is for beads, C is for canoe, and then of course it has some other colorful words to it, but just for beginning as a start, D is for drums. After we have finished reading, I will now take some paper. I'll fold like this, or even smaller. So I'll get 8 pages from this one sheet of paper, and there's always an author and an illustrator in a picture book.
Okay.
The person who writes the book, the person who draws the picture. So your student or child can be the author, they can be the illustrator. So you have what we call the title page of the book, which is this page.
Okay.
So the child will write their title. A is for they can say A is for, think of it,
apple.
Apple. We don't even want to use apple,
okay,
because I don't want to use apple in Nigeria. A is for maybe a town. A is for Abeokuta, for example. That could be the title. And then and the author is illustrated by, and then you go to the next page. B is for somebody or something. You have to think through it. You don't just start writing. After you finish reading this, you come up with the words that the child may use. You can help them depending on their age. When they finish doing that, they will have 26-page book, because there are 26 pages in the alphabet, or at least minimum of 26. They will have the cover, then the back, and all that. And then give it to them to read. They want to read it because they wrote it.
Okay.
So and guess what? When uncle comes and auntie comes, they want them to read it. So every time they wrote a book, they wanted to share with somebody. There are other books I have here.
Okay.
And I am not saying that everybody should go to America and buy the book.
Because we have to narrow it down to Nigeria.
Exactly, but we need authors. Our authors, I hope they're listening. We need picture books. Books that are colorful, that would encourage children to want to read. Look at this. This is Vicky. Vicky loves playing and running around, but today she's very quiet. The words are simple, the pictures are simple. The thing is, if a child can read this, their confidence level soars. So now they believe, I can do it, I can read. They can call themselves a reader. As a matter of fact, by the time a child finishes making an alphabet book, they consider themselves a reader already. And we need to put that in them too, that this is something you can do. So that's one way that I think we can encourage our children to write better and read better. Now, somebody may argue that what about a child in primary 5? Of course, primary 5 will not be doing this, but a child in primary 5 or 6 can read a story, and actually maybe an Enid Blyton story, and write take a plot from that. Just take, all these books are made, they have so many different stories. Take one of them and write a different ending to it. Or change the plot, change that plot to fit the same theme of that book. What would you write? If you were the person writing this book, what would you write? Let them write it. That is being creative. That's making them more creative by allowing them some freedom. You can use the topics that the state or the government gives you to write and still make it creative. But I've always taught reading and writing as one subject, but with books. I don't know how I would teach writing without books.
Okay, at what age do you think a child needs to start reading and writing? Because if you have a baby of 2+, so what is that thing that child should be doing now?
2+, they should know their alphabet. They should know their alphabet, not just and their colors, not just know them, but be able to identify that if they saw a sign of Mr. Biggs, that they can read it. And also let parents, even if you are walking with your child, when you see signs, ask them to read. Unfortunately, some signs are so poorly written that they don't even make sense. But when you see signs like Mr. Biggs or words, not, tantalizers and all that, but words that actually mean something. Mr., you see Mr., you see a period after the Mr., call attention to stuff like that. And then what do you use after the period? A capital B. So when you use a period, you use capital letter after that. So they understand that as as they go on. At that age, colors.
What about scribbling, holding the pencil?
Doodling is so important. Please let them doodle. Let them do. And when they do celebrate, they're holding the pen there. What are you doing? I'm writing my name. The first time my child wrote her name and said that was her name, my husband and I looked at each other.
At what age then?
I think she was 3 or 2.
Okay.
2, maybe 2. She was 2. She just turned 2. We looked at each other and we smiled and we took it. We said, "This is your name. Thank you." So we wrote her name correctly below it and we put it on the refrigerator so she could see it. That's my name. That's my name. Then as she started to understand the alphabet, she started to read the letters that we wrote below of our real name, that she could now say, "Oh, this is my name. It's spelled like this." So at that age, let them encourage it. If they say that, because they will tell you they have drawn a picture for you and they will run and come and give it to you, please don't say, "What is this?"
We have that culture here that
I know.
Just go, don't disturb me.
So take it and say, "Wow, this is for me. Thank you so much. I love you too." If you don't have a way to use tape and tape it on your fridge. If you have magnets, put magnets and put it on your fridge. Encourage them, whatever they're doing. So at that age, that's what I would recommend. They should be able to read. They should know their colors, they should know their alphabets, and of course the numbers, rote counting, that.
Okay, so how can we improve a slow learner? But before you answer that, let's open the phone lines to get the pulse of Nigerians on what we're looking at this morning. We're talking education development towards the reading culture. Well, it's a class this morning, so get yourself. I know that she's going to give assignments to Nigerians this morning. Okay, let's get your calls and comments at this time. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, back to the question. how can you improve someone who is a slow learner to meet up with other colleagues?
The same, believe it or not, what I'm saying now, you can take a slow learner and let them use that same process. I think the challenge that students who are slower to learn have, especially in our culture, but not limited to us, is the impatience of the adults around them. The adults around them are not patient, and as a result, we frustrate these children. Because sometimes a child that is dyslexic, for example, they want to read, they will be crying because they have it in their head, but everything is so mumbled and jumbled, they're not sure what is what. And what do we say? We call them names. Please stop calling children names.
Names like Olodo.
Olodo, you are so stupid, you are this, please. Especially teachers, those words should not come out of your mouth. If you don't know what to say, take a 30-second break and move away from that child. That would help. Because what is important is that we want to build this children's self-esteem. But when you talk of slow learners, picture books is what I have always used, and unfortunately we don't have many of them here. But I'm not even saying they don't exist, but I have not seen many.
Okay, we have a call now. Well, Usman calling us from Taraba, man. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Jerry.
Good morning, Usman.
Morning. Good morning, mommy there.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. This thing is that, you know, why you people will be saying all this in Nigeria and that. In Nigeria, we don't encourage people to go to the school. That is why all these things are doing like that. Why saying that? You know, a person will graduate from the secondary school. Then he will try to go to the next place. They will tell him there's no math, there's no English. Whether he has math without English, they will tell him that there's no this thing. And they want to weigh him down. And the other one that are coming behind, they see their elder brother was still at home. So there's nothing will motivate them to go for education. And also, if they are trying to make something for themselves, government will not help them to become something. Why saying that? And then they will say, okay, there's an interview. They will call you when you go. You will perform well, and then they will not give you that work. They will just give it to somebody that didn't go there. Why I'm saying this, I say it out of experience. If you say I should list every place where I went for the interview, I will call you for you, and I will tell you all the scores that I got there. That not anybody will give you that job until when you have somebody in this country. So that is why you see educations have been going down. Educations have been spoiling because there's no motivation. All these things, our government, they should try and do something about it.
Thank you very much, Usman from Taraba. Can you quickly respond to Usman's comment? That shouldn't stop him not to be educated. Well,
no.
Okay.
I understand how frustrating some situations in Nigeria have been, but we cannot give up. You cannot stop. You cannot say because of that there's no point going to school. If you think education is not good enough, like my host said earlier, try ignorance. Don't do it. Don't say because of all the reasons that you have given that you are not going to. There's no reason to encourage anyone to go to school. There are 1,001 reasons. Because when you go to school, you have your world is exponentially increased. For example, that's what reading does. It takes you out of your little place and takes you to places that you may never even be able to go to. For example, you can read about space. You may never go to space, but you can know a lot about it. You can read about other countries, the Arctic, the Antarctica. What are the odds that you go to these places? But you can be there by through reading, and the only way you can read is by going to school. So please, I encourage Mr. Usman to please make sure that you send your children
to school. Okay, as a young Nigerian, I hope you're young.
Yes, are you kidding? I'm very young.
What are you doing to impact on other young Nigerians with all this that you're saying? Well, people want to know what impact you've made or you are making in this country.
Okay, so I teach. I'm an educational consultant, and I'm passionate about robotics and STEM.
Okay.
So robotics is getting students to build robots. We all know about robots, hopefully. And robotics is the study of how robots work. So students come together, they build robots, they program robots, and the robots have to do certain
Just a
tasks.
moment. We have another caller, Ineka, calling us from Asaba. And thanks for joining us this morning. Good morning, Ineka.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, I so appreciate what she is doing because I really enjoy the talk show. Like me, I have a baby who is 5. As at 4, he can read and write very well. When I mean read and write very well, not because I'm a teacher, but I have this passion on kids, raising them to become what they really want to be. Like that picture reading. If my child sees anything like pictures, he's so interested, he wants to Mommy, what happened? Mommy, what is this? Mommy, what is this? Mommy, what is this? I'll say you can do it. It's somebody else. So do what you know you can do best for yourself. And he enjoys pictures. So if we in Nigeria educational system, we can put pictures for this kindergarten level from the onset, it will be very, very, it will take them a long way. It will bring them to the future that they can't even imagine they are the ones doing it.
Okay.
So another thing, like my kids now, he can write from 2. I believe if a child is properly nurtured, he can start writing. We cannot imagine starting from just knowing the letter, like from 2. He has already identified 1 to 10, 1 to 20, and he can write very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ineka. Thank you very much. Okay, you can continue with your line of thought earlier.
About the...
Well, talking about what you
I
do,
okay, so
the impact you're making.
Impact I'm making,
okay.
I lost my train of thought. So now, I came back to Nigeria in 2015 after teaching in the US for 23 years. And I taught in Nigeria for 13 years. So you see, I'm very young, right? But what I've been doing since I came is just nurturing students, in the areas of STEM, encouraging schools to integrate STEM into their curriculum.
What do you mean by STEM, for
STEM
people
is
to know?
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Okay.
And some people would argue,
well, because we know sometimes, just a moment, people have this fear, this phobia for mathematics.
I know.
It's always a problem.
I know. But math can be so much fun. For example, there's a book. I use books a lot to teach. And you can make up books. You can make up stories. For example, your child is struggling with multiplication. Don't even say, let's count. Don't count. Let's say there are 4 people in the house. Mommy, daddy, you and your brother. How many toes do we have all together? So then you convert that, depends on their age. Make everything educational for them. When you are driving on the road, let's say I'm walking, how many Okadas did we pass already?
Just a moment. We have Peter calling us from Bauchi. Many thanks for joining us, Peter. It's been a while. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Yeah, my brother from a mother. I knew you were going to say that. It's been a while, my brother. How you doing? How's the weekend?
Thank you very much. Go on.
Man, I like your outfit.
Oh, thank you.
Don't worry. You know what you do. Just get the outfit kept after the show. I'll try to get in touch to get them.
Okay.
Yeah. Talking about this education development, although I joined the show very late, but just grabbed 1 or 2 things just the key and before my call came in. I feel there's something. Mindset is something that plays a great role in the lives of every human being. The things that are being impacted in people. Because I picked the call right from when Usman was about ending the call. I noticed you were talking about encouraging him and all that. So I don't know what he was really talking about. But from what I picked, you guys are trying to encourage him that don't give up on education and all that. I feel, like I said, mindset and the impactation, that has been made on people. So education per se and what people want to do depends on what has been impacted in them. So if somebody is against education or may not want to be participating in something. It must have been an impartation that has been made from somebody, or maybe something like a generational something that goes on. So what I would rather say is, it starts from the home, the people around, the environment, and where you see yourself. That determines what people want to get themselves involved in. Some people are against education, so I'm in support of it. So if the people who are against it are probably kind of nurtured in that direction, impacted, they would definitely want to support that. But if you see anybody being against it, then it's from that environment and the people around. So that could be the cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter from Bauchi. Well, charity begins at home. Okay, back to you.
So talking about STEM, STEM is the teaching of science, technology, engineering, and math. But what we do, and in most schools across the world, not just in Nigeria, is that when we are talking about this, we are saying we teach them, but we're teaching them in silos. It's like they're this little tunnel, my math is here, my science is here, and they don't know what each other is doing. So students are not making connection between these subjects. They don't know that they are connected. They don't know that reading is connected to math. And yet, math is, when they do math exam, they have word problems. So if they cannot read, how are they going to be able to solve the problem? So that is one challenge. And so my passion is getting schools to integrate STEM into the curriculum in a very seamless way, in a way that the math teacher is encouraging their students to write about how they are solving an equation. Write about it. How did you solve it? Prove it to me. Prove it.
Okay.
Let them prove it. Technology. Our technology has to be beyond the computer lab. We have to do more than that. We have to give students assignments that would encourage them to use what they are learning, to create PowerPoints, write skits, make plays, do a TV show for your book report, or for your report, or for an assignment. Let them. Those are the kind of things that will integrate. But of course, it's bigger than the way I'm explaining it. But I'm kind of just telling you in a very short form. So that's what I've been doing. Last year, I took a group of students to the United States.
Just a moment. Again, Ezekiel calling us from Nasarawa. Many thanks for joining us this morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ezekiel.
Ezekiel, thank you very much.
Yes. The issues of education, educational development is very, very important. But in one way or the other, we look at it, it's like we can say that it's causing more laziness than, according to our president. We discovered that now, because of education, many people are lazy. Why can't we just train them on how our poor parents train us? Let us just continue training them. Discover that now, presently, people go ahead to invent bombs, construction of bombs, destroying people because of our science and technology. So I believe that if possible that this kind of thing has become the problem of Nigeria, why can't we instead give them the kind of our traditional education than giving them Western education? That is what
Thank you very much, Ezekiel. Well, he's trying to compare Western education to traditional education. Well, that's not what we're preaching here this morning. You can continue with the line of thoughts.
All right. So I was saying that part of the impact that I have made was that last year I took a group of 7 students for a competition in robotics in the United States. This competition is called First Global, and it encourages, we have teams from 157 countries. Bear in mind, the whole world has 195 or 196 nations. So that was a large number of the countries in the world that was represented at this competition. There were 163 teams, and Nigeria, these children did pretty well. There were 10 categories of awards possible. They were first in one of their categories, they were second in another of the categories, and out of the 163 teams, we were 25th as a nation.
Okay.
In Africa, we were 3rd out of 41 countries that came for the competition. So now, this year, we are getting ready for that same competition, except that this year it's holding in Mexico. So we are inviting students. Next week, Saturday, in Lagos, we will be selecting members for that competition. So we're encouraging students to come by and try out to be a part of it. We're only taking 5 this year. That's what the organizers requested. And I know that other states will be interested. As a matter of fact, on Monday, when we presented this team of students to the Vice President of Nigeria,
Really, you met with the vice president?
Yes,
okay.
we did on Monday.
Okay.
And somebody said that one of the directors asked how can other states benefit from it, and we said if the government can provide the resource for other states to get what they need to be able to take part, that we can do that, and then we'll just have a national competition since we can only send one team.
And what's the commitment of the federal government of Nigeria?
You mean as a response to that?
Okay.
It's I really can make of it what they wanted to say, what they said.
Well, let's go on this break. When we come back, she will be rounding off on this particular one about reading culture in Nigeria. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office, you can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government covers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to Core TV Primetime News broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. And Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion.
Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I'm about fortune.
Now, you see, let me
So
say this.
that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues. Welcome back on the program. Okay, madam, you just have to go now. Your final words on the program this morning, advising Nigerians on reading culture.
Yes, I will say it again. Parents, you are not off the hook. Read to your children. Make a habit. If you have been doing it, please keep at it. If you have not been doing it, start tonight. Read something together with your child, a story. And if what you prefer is the Bible or the Quran, then talk about the story that you are reading. Discuss it. Let them make sense of it. Ask them what they think of the story. Tell them what you think so that you can compare. Also, label items in your house. Label the items, especially when you have 2-3-year-olds. Let them know what these things are called. But before you know it, they're learning the spelling of these words. And if you can lay your hands on picture books, like some of the examples I've shared with you, let them read it. Let them make up stories. Just take pieces of paper, fold it into one sheet of paper, can make 8 pages. Let them write short stories. When they write, whatever they write, and if you think that their stories don't make sense, please don't say, this is stupid, this is dumb. Don't do that. Just encourage them. Let them tell you. Sometimes, for example, a 2-year-old wants to tell a story. You can help them write it into a book. And then read it to them and let them now own it. You'll be surprised that they will be pretending.
I'm going to start that in my own house now. I have to go back home and label everything.
Please do.
The refrigerator, the television.
Exactly.
Anything
that you have, the couch, your living room set,
right.
dining table, chairs, you know, and you label them and you say to them. So you say to, for example, to your daughter, you call those words. They will say, because they are listening to what you are doing more than what you are saying.
Or even a child at 2, she's in her formative years. She grabs things, whatever she hears from the parents. Now, can you give your social media handle so that people can follow you up with other events that you have?
Okay, I'm on Facebook, Remi Willoughby on Facebook, and on Twitter.
Can you spell that, please, so that
Remi, R-E-M-I, Willoughby, W-I-L-L-O-U-G-H-B-Y, Remi Willoughby on Facebook, and also on Twitter, my handle is @Remi Willoughby, and I'm also on LinkedIn with the same name. And so I hope you, and you can also reach me on television. I mean, on telephone.
You want to give your telephone line? Okay, you can call.
You can call Mr. Ajayi and he will give you my contact.
Okay. We just have to go now. Mostly, many thanks for joining us this morning. Well, Nigerians, you've had it all from her. Go out there, take it as a practical step, and definitely you have good results on this. Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
I hope the next time we call on you, you oblige us.
Yes, that will be an honor.
Okay. We'll take a break now. When we come back, well, it's going to be more extra parts of Call Digest this morning. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on Core TV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.